Hey guys, these are some of my favorite little challenges to do. I've done a lot of setups in the past where you've got a bunch of little tiny ticks and circles, and what I found is using reference objects to set things up makes life so much simpler. So if you can find the dead center of a circle and you can calculate, the center between those, which Smart Guides makes things a little bit easier nowadays, then you can do this sort of stuff pretty easily. I've already set up a couple little shapes here, and what I've noticed is, if you see the center marks here, they're off just a hair. So I'm going to lock this down, and I'm going to take all of these objects, and then I'm just going to align them center, and I'm just using selection right now instead of artboard. So now that I've got those, I'm just going to lock those down too with Control 2. And we're just going to use these as reference spacing. What I'm going to do from here is, what I've noticed is the endpoint, the intersect point for the circle here is much higher than this object is. So it looks like this drops a little bit lower. So what I'm going to do is, let's draw a guide from across here, and we know where the center of the circle is, and that's kind of where we want everything to radiate. So I'm going to draw a guide here. Is that right? Yeah, that's on the center line. And we'll create a reference circle based on this. So let's put one here, and we'll change the color, make it a lot smaller. So let's drag this out to somewhere about here. And what I'm trying to do is find a point that's close to the top. We're going to round these edges over later. I'm going to paste another one in place, and we'll draw to probably the bottoms of these curves. And now I'm going to draw some lines. So what I did was, and key pose isn't picking it up, hold down Alt and Shift, and it will draw a line starting at the center of where you drew. Now the trick from here is doing a little bit of math. We know that from here to here is 90 degrees. So if we pull up the calculator and we calculate, so we need 1, 2, 3. 90 degrees divided by 3 is 30 degrees. So we can go to Object, Transform, Rotate, and set it to 30 degrees. Copy, and to do that over again without going through all the commands, just hit Control D, and that'll duplicate that last operation. Now we do need to go the other way, so we set rotate and we go negative 30 degrees, preview, copy, and duplicate. So now we've got all our reference lines set up. One other thing to note is I can't find the dead center of this spot right here. But what I do have is a circle, and if we look at a circle, it has 4 points. So what I know is from here to here is 30 degrees. So half of that would have to be 15 degrees. So if I transform and rotate that, we'll say 15 degrees. And I look at the wireframe, our point's in the dead center. So that's perfect. Except that I actually probably want to start over here. So let's try rotate 15 degrees. Negative 15? Yeah. So negative 15 puts this point up there, and that's perfect. Because now we're going to draw some lines. So from here to here, and now we hit that little anchor spot, and it locks on for us. Draw to here, here, and I'm trying not to hit the ends because I don't want to close those off, even though they're locked, and they probably won't. Let's drag those out of here, and Smart Guide should keep us in line. So that's basically the shape. If we take this and we pull that in, now we've just created that object. And let's make it a different color so that it stands out a little more. Now we have a opportunity where we could go through and we could draw each one of these. We would rotate this 30 degrees each time all the way around, or we could just use the same object that we've created and rotate it around. So if you pull up R, which is the rotate tool, and we find this dead center intersection, click there. That sets the rotation point of this object to that spot. And now we can hold down Alt and drag it around, and we'd only need to do it once because Control D will do the rest of it for us. So now that we've got those in place, we just have these right here. So I'm going to unlock everything here, and we'll use these shapes here. Now that would have to be a 45 because here to here is 90 and half is 45. So transform rotate -45. We'll do that, and then we'll object transform rotate 45. Except that it didn't work for me. Object transform rotate 45. There we go. Must have had the other object selected. So we can take these and scale them down until they meet right there, and then extend that line all the way back up. And since Smart Guides are on, it's doing all of the work for us. So now we can get rid of this reference and this reference, and all of our shapes are pretty much done. Now from here, if you're wondering how do I make sure that this edge stays, you know, nice and clean for these because they're extending out, well, take this outer object, copy it, paste it in place with Control Shift V, and then Shift select that object, and we're going to yep, that one there, intersect. So now we've got that in place. So we'll paste one in place again, and just keep working the way around. I have to excuse me, I'm half asleep right now because I just woke up on New Year's Day. Let's get rid of that guide, and then the rest of them should be pretty simple to set up. As is here. And we'll just duplicate this one over. It looks like I missed one, which this one we can just eyeball. Doesn't look like it's critical. And there you go. I'll pull this to the side. So it looks like my lines are a little bit thicker on these. And it might be that all of them are about the same thickness and are being covered up by the reference image, but that should give you a good idea of, you know, how you can go about setting it up. And you can use that same methodology to set stuff up like this. I'm usually doing it for textures for 3D work, but you want to make sure that those angles are pretty much dead on. And setting one object in place kind of as a reference makes things so much easier for that. So hope that helps.